Rent.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Give Me Rent. It's just Brandon today. I'm by myself. Big news has dropped past couple of days. Kind of just weird to digest it, just because of the hype around it and what we've talked about, on the podcast. The TMNT rated R movie, The Last Ronin, based off the comic book run, actually has been canceled. Um, Sad to see that happen. Honestly, the franchise has been around forever. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a very big staple. I mean, specifically our generation, definitely the older generation, but our generation has had a lot of media with this. Whether it was the movies, the TV shows, toys, video games, etc. It's been a very big staple and a very big pop culture icon. All four of them, even Splinter, Casey Jones, Shredder, etc. Um, yeah, but it's interesting. There was a lot of hype around this. I mean, the video game is still in development, from what I remember. It's gonna be, it's a great storyline. Michelangelo, for those who don't know, is actually the last one, right? He is the last Ronin. He is the last brother alive. Um, Raphael's dead. Donatello, Leonardo. It's essentially Mikey becoming such a big, uh, cold-hearted vigilante, right? And being able to see a darker tone of the turtles, being on the screen was, very interesting. Comic book's phenomenal, great story. Really disappointed, to say the least. Just it's a real big bummer, really is. But now they announced a new project completely, which I'm excited for. Still, I'm always excited for more turtle content. Like, we're getting the short from Seth Rogen's universe. Mutant Mayhem came out a few years back already. We're getting the Christmas short. There's a second one coming out in 2027. But now there's a whole new thing coming out where we're going to get a complete live action reboot. The guy, Neil Moritz, who he's very known for the Fast and Furious franchise, he produced it. We're going to be getting it essentially like the Sonic movies. And for those that didn't see the Sonic movies, or people that might not care about it as much as maybe me, because I grew up playing the Sonic games, I watched the shows growing up. Very big Sonic fan, and I enjoy the new stuff. It's definitely a different take. They had to adapt in certain ways, obviously, for today's audience, and to not, I guess, delve into the lore of the video games too much and try to make a story where it would make sense for live action. But enough of talking about Sonic. Yeah, I mean, making it a Sonic themed similarity show movie series, um, interesting, very interesting to say the least. It definitely could work. I mean, they're teenagers. Let's be real here. It's definitely gonna be for kids. It's not gonna be like the rated R film before. So I definitely think, especially with how all their personalities balance out, it's just gonna work. I think it's gonna be very fun. It's gonna be a fun movie. Definitely if they continue it, like the introduction of other characters such as Casey and stuff like that. But what I really want to see is not the overbearing use of CGI to a point where it looks like the Sonic characters. And excuse me. And what I mean by that is this. Uh the Sonic characters, yeah, they look good, right? They look very similar to how they look in a video game, but it's just not realistic enough. And yeah, they're giant teenage turtles. But I don't want it to the point where it's like a Looney Tunes back in action feeling, or Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where they don't mesh super well with the live action characters. And, you know, the whole idea of how they use practical effects in the 90s, it looked good. To some people, maybe looking good is a stretch, but for the budget, the time period, the technology, like I think it was not bad. And I'm scared that the going the route of like Sonic the Hedgehog might I want to be careful with my words here, but it might make it look not cheap, but maybe a little gimmicky in a way. And I don't want it to look too much like Sonic. I want it to feel like Sonic, but not look that way. It's a lot in the air. And for the future of the franchise, I think it's very important. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a very big franchise. A lot of people may not realize that, but it's a very big franchise. I mean, look how successful they've been with most of their projects. It's hit after hit almost every time. And They come in and out of the media, they come in and out of pop culture every now and then, stick their head in, back up for a couple of years, come back. I I need to see this project more over time. I'm not going to sit here and say this is great for the franchise, this is bad. Like I think it's bad that you're not doing a rated R project after this being very highly anticipated. It's dumb. Like this is one of the best comic book stories that's been written, and I guess in past couple of years, even though it's obviously a little bit older in a couple of years, but still it's one of the best storylines that's been written for changing the tone of the Turtles. And very very disappointed to say the least. Just I still don't understand the decision why you wouldn't even take the risk on it, the gamble. It's a very popular comic book. It's not like they took a random crossover because Turtles have crossed over with like every big property in the comics. It's not like they did that and made it into a movie and everyone's like, this is dumb. No, like this was a very big money maker. A lot of people want to see more dark projects. People are loving the darkness of DC. People are consistently requesting a rated R Vader or rated R Maul or rated R Grievous from the Star Wars fan base. So I mean, that's meant for kids, but yet people want that dark stuff. And I mean, even in the Clone Wars, there was some dark stuff. People want darker Marvel themed movies. People really enjoyed some dark and cruel backstories from Guardians and other properties within Marvel. But people want Spawn to show up. People are done, I think, with the cheesy, corny hero always wins. Those type of movies. At the end of the day, like especially with DC now being around, people are gonna want to see more. Obviously, the hero wins, but stuff to be darker elements throughout it. In the last Ronin, like nobody really wins. Like at least in the start of it. I mean, Michelangelo goes from being the funniest turtle to a dark and brooding character. They all essentially are dead. It's tough on the character. You're going to see a lot of change. It is not the same tone. And that's kind of what the general population wants. I also think that's why horror is doing so well right now. Not just because of how good they're written or how great the production is, or it's not just a cheesy slasher or kill count movies with horror, but I genuinely think the darker tone has been progressing and coming back into media in different forms. Not even just this. I'll bring up another thing that's Turtles have crossed over with them, so it makes sense. But like, look at Power Rangers for example, right in the comics, they are super dark. Lord Draken is one of the most trending villains in comic book history in the past couple of years. I'd say I wouldn't say in all history, but recent history. Bro's just a murderer. People like that they're getting into darker tones with more of stuff from their childhood, stuff that's like kind of meant for kids, that really deal with stuff that's just kind of out of the ordinary, I'd say, for those characters. I mean, Super Sentai did it before Power Rangers, and they've been dark, but seeing Power Rangers be dark, people love that. Seeing TMNT being dark, people love that. Seeing a lot of superhero stuff being dark, people really love that. And I think the Sonic route could be, good for a reboot, 100%, but the whole point of the last Ronin being canceled is very concerning. I think people enjoy Turtles content when it comes out, but how many times are going to reboot this franchise for it to really stick? There's a lot of great characters. You can easily pump movies out, without milking it, but you got to question it's how many times you guys are going to do it until you just really stick. Mutant Mayhem, I think, is a perfect example of a very nice change. Very similar to Spider Verse animation. I think they're going to do great. Seth Rogen, you could tell he made a lot of love with that project, and yeah, I'm very excited for the second one. I'm very excited for the short now, and they really feel like teenagers. But I think them canceling the last Ronin was very disappointing news and very shocking to say the least. You could have told me that I wouldn't have expected it. Uh, yeah, it's something that I guess we're gonna have to wait and see over time. With all these updates with the reboot, the last Ronin's getting a video game release, though. I know I mentioned earlier, but that's gonna be very cool. Seeing a TMNT adult video game is gonna be very cool. I don't know what the rating is, or if it's T or mature. I haven't heard any updates in a while. I gotta look back into it, but I am very excited. Just to see the video game be done. I don't remember the last time we got a TMNT video game that wasn't like on Nickelodeon's website when we were kids. But no, definitely going to be a big change in this franchise. It's very weird still to me, especially since we talked about reboots on the channel not too long ago. Actually, it might have been a couple months ago already. But yeah, talking about TMNT specifically as a reboot, they get rebooted over and over again. It's just how many times you're going to do it till it really sticks. The show was on for years, and then you bring up another show, another show. It's just, Michael Bay really fumbled the franchise too. But that's it for just TMNT news. If there's anything else that comes up in the update, it will be covered in future episodes. But definitely very disappointed. And if I'm the one that broke the news, sorry about that. But hopefully the Sonic theme, I guess, for the future with this franchise will help it. And then 2027, you have Seth Rogen's. But very, very upset that we just lost a rated R project. But once again, this is the Give Me a Rent podcast. See you guys next time.